Oh my goodness. I am wow. Oh man, Marianne says it the best. Not happy. That was you gave 2 points away. Absolutely. Um wow. I'll show this one, Bob. Oh my goodness. Um ouch. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. That I mean, Mindy's going to come in here and start chirping on us, so ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Shockley, this passive crap bites us every time. Yeah, it was. Right? Kairu played great until the turnover. Agreed. Butchikash is an embarrassment. Yeah, they were too busy. At one point, I thought they were doing really good, but then they started talking about chicken parm. They talked
Yep.
more about chicken parm than they did the game. You
Yep.
know, that's just, I get it, but still. Richard Henry Doolittle. I'm not sure if we've seen him before. The Blues are such lazy garbage. They're getting there. I'm with you on that one. We lose every single one of these OT games. They suck at it. Work on it, and saga continues with blowing leads. Same song, different game. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, bud. But
Rob Morton.
uh, your 2-year-old takes better naps than 5 does. That's for sure. Did you see the picture he put up of Colton
Yeah.
face laying across the couch? Oh, that was amazing. I mean, this reminded me of my youngest when she was not in her mid-20s, but when she was that age, she would do the same thing. So yeah, that was definitely, yeah. I don't know, man. I'm trying not to get too high, too low. Oh, I didn't send the link. Oh, I thought I did, but let me try and resend it. I don't want to let Wendy out. Got to give him a chance. There you go, Wendy. Sorry about that. And I don't know what to say. I mean, Chicago was hungrier, right? The having guys out and you know what? I said it. The 8 defenseman was going to kill us, and that's exactly what happens.
It is.
Right? Now we're at a point. At this point, I'm sorry. Send Prunovich back down. Bring up
Joshua.
Well, you can't bring up neighbors. Bring up
Joshua
or
Walker.
or who was the other one that came up for a while? That was a defenseman. Didn't we have another forward come up? I can't remember. Okay. You can gloat now.
Hawks win.
Well, I mean, you called it. You called who was going to score.
I said Hagel was going to get a goal tonight.
Yeah, you said it in the pregame. You thought he would be the one. That was just that. I heard someone say that was on Kairu's turnover. Now that was on Krug. That was a blind pass at a bad time.
Lance has got it right there.
Yeah, one word.
The Hawks just played great defense that third period.
They did. The Blues only had at one point they only had one shot. Right?
Yeah, one shot with like 5 minutes remaining in regulation time.
I think they ended up getting a second shot, but you can't win a game when
Yeah.
you've only taken 2 shots in the third period.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
no, that's absolutely right. You outshot them at one point. It was 16-10 in the first, and they outshoot you 27-25. Right.
yeah.
The only good thing for the Blues was the penalty kill. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 0 for 3 on the penalty kill. They won the faceoffs. They had the blocks, but the Blackhawks had 14 giveaways to St. Louis's 4. Give away the puck 14 times. You got to capitalize on it, and the Blues did not.
No, they didn't.
The Hawks just contained their zone and played strong hockey. That's what it was.
I have Dante's Inferno going off on me now. There's your link, Lance, if you want in. And we'll listen to Dante's Inferno. No, I give it Wendy White, every freaking lead blown. This is tiresome. It happens.
That's the first time the Hawks have done a comeback in a game this year.
Wow. Made the Hawks D look good, pathetic effort. Back-to-back rivalry games, you just blew it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's hard to take, especially on a showcase game. And the game was later than it was supposed to be. It was originally supposed to be at 1:00, right? So
I thought it was supposed to be at noon.
At noon, okay. So it got pulled back. So it even had you even had more time, and it just Chicago wanted it. I'll take the point. The point's fine, but not. DeBrincat. That was a good goal. I mean, 2-on-1. Got to get in there and you got to shoot. Vlad's got to start shooting on overtimes, right? You got to control the puck in the overtime. And the other thing is this: I really think they need to change the rule and put the red line back in and say once you're in the zone, come back over the red line. It's an offensive faceoff. It's a faceoff in your zone.
Yeah.
Right. I've heard that before, and I think it was Terry Yake that said that. Mm-hmm. And I agree with it now because, this constantly going back, it's killing teams. Yeah. Right. And it's killing what the overtime is supposed to be. Right. What are you happy about? Oh, he went away. Mm-hmm. He's mad at me.
Oh, I don't think he's mad at you.
Yeah, I know he's not. I'm joking. It just. Oh, here we go.
Yep, there's Lance.
Spout it, man.
I don't want to take anything away from Windy City, our buddy there. The Hawks played good enough to win. And when they needed a goal, they got the goals. And, I can sit here and say, like I did earlier, that the Blues were a little bit lazy. I thought they were. I thought they did what they've done in a lot of these previous losses. They've stood around a lot and watched teams play. And you can't do that. And I know it's early. I know we're only around 20 games. And that's when I start making judgments on the team. And I'm going to have a podcast coming out soon and give everybody grades. And I will tell you this right now. One of the people that's going to get one of the worst grades is Colton Parayko. I mean, the guy's not redeemed himself. I can't remember a game this year where I've really said, damn, Parayko looks really good. I think he's looked okay at games, but I don't know if there's something wrong with him or if he's just signed this big contract and he's got the money and now he's okay. I just don't know. And,
Not hungry.
He doesn't look hungry. He looks like a guy that's moving in slow speed, like there's no urgency when he gets the puck. It's like he doesn't know what to do with it when he gets it. He looks worse now than he did the first year they brought him up during the playoffs when he looked so good. He just doesn't look like this. He doesn't look as good as he did at the age of 24. And that's sad. Your best years in hockey should be between the ages of 27 and 31. And Colton Parayko is proving that theory wrong right now. And a lot of people I see hating on Bennington, this game is not Bennington's fault.
No, it's not Bennington's fault. After he made the one mistake that we got lucky with, he started playing the puck very well. He was in good positions. I think the first goal was a tip in with the guy in the crease. Second goal was a tip in. Third goal was a 2-on-1. You're not going to stop that. In overtime when you're that much speed, it's almost impossible. The Blues, the beginning of the season, they were using speed to win games. Somewhere along the line, that's gone out of the maybe COVID, maybe injuries. For whatever reason, they've stopped using that speed. Costin being out today had, I think that's a little bit of speed out. Joshua not being there, that's some grit and some speed out. You've got Scandella playing on the top line minutes, and he doesn't have speed. Falk and Krug can only do so much, but that turnover was on Krug. That was Krug's turnover, not Kairu's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of times when a team is not giving you at least some of the guys are not giving you 100% effort, it looks like they're slower because they're not giving that effort. There were times where I thought they entered the zone and they had some speed, but you're right. It looks like every team they play, including the Coyotes were onto the puck constantly on the Blues, were to the puck quicker than the Blues. And, you can't take anybody for granted. They've played two teams that record-wise and lineup-wise, if you go from top to bottom and you play just off of the roster sheets, these teams have no business beating the Blues if they play their game.
Three teams.
Yeah, three teams. And it all comes down to effort. Like I said, any team can beat anybody, especially when you're not, doing what you do best. And the last 4 or 5 losses the Blues have had this season, including these last couple ones, they've just not been playing their game. And I don't know, I saw somebody say, well, they're not buying in. Well, heck, most of these guys have been on this team since Berube's been here. I don't understand this feeling that they're not buying in. They should have bought in a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
No, I absolutely agree with that. But there's some. I'll go back to this. Something happened in the bubble, and it hasn't been fixed. It absolutely has not been fixed, and we've seen it, and we've seen it, and we've seen it, and we've seen it, and then we got this nice little bump at the beginning of the season, this 5-0 win. And everybody's like, oh, see, you were wrong. There was nothing wrong, nothing. Well, you know what? Now we're seeing it again, right? So what's wrong? Where's the problem, right? This is not a team. This team should be, and even ESPN was dishing them. Oh, well, they got to clean things up if they want to be taken seriously. They should be taken seriously from the get-go.
Yeah, and I was watching some football the other day, and they were talking about how many penalties the Dallas Cowboys had, and each team was penalized 14 times in that Thanksgiving Day game, and how penalties kill you, and that penalties are on the players for making those mistakes. And I keep seeing people say, well, it's not on the coach, it's on the players. Well, there gets to a time when a coach sees a team not doing something properly, to where he needs to step in and figure out what's going on and see why the players aren't playing the way they're supposed to. Everybody on this team, besides maybe Buchnevich and Saad, should know this system. Even Perinovich and Mikula and these guys, these young defensemen, they should know this system, because it's being played in the minors the way that they want their guys to grow. And there comes a time where players need to be held responsible and coaches need to be held responsible. And I think right now, both sides, coaches and players, need to be held responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Henry Doolittle says, I hope Berube slaps each one of those lazy players in the face after that embarrassment. I just, for me right now, it's not only that, it's the do or die coming up, right? The 4 of the next 5 games are against dead-on cup contenders, right? play a home and home against Tampa, a home and home against Florida. Those are cup contending teams. Period. You've got to win those games now. You've made very difficult games must-win games. You could easily, by beginning of December, see yourself out of the playoff race. Right? And that's, this is and everyone was given, you remember this, Ashley, at the beginning of the season when I kept saying, well, you remember 17, remember 17, and everyone, well, stop doing that, stop comparing this team to 17, stop comparing this team to, it's what's happening. It's exactly what's happening. They went from being one of the best teams in the league to almost being out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and I've always thought you really get to see how a team is from about as long as they're healthy and they've got the players to do what they need to do. You can really tell what a team is between game 20 to game 40. So somewhere in that range, you normally see what a team is. I've seen some people say, well, you shouldn't hate on the Blues, and we're not hating, we're bringing stuff out. And I've seen people say, well, do you remember the year they won the cup? They were terrible the first half. Guys, that doesn't happen. It rarely happens to where a team's that bad in the first half.
That's why it was so special that it did happen.
Yeah.
It
was
can't
the first
keep happening.
time it happened. It was the only time it's happened.
Yeah, and it's rare that a team plays that bad and gets to the playoffs, much less wins the Stanley Cup. And guys, there comes a time where you've got to really look at it and say this team has issues. And right now, I'm not saying it's going to be this way all season. Right now, this team has issues.
Yeah, I agree. There's identity. That's an identity crisis, right? You went from being a speedy team to now you're trying to be a heavy team to somewhere in between, and it's not working. Nothing's working, right? When you were speedy, it was working, and now it's not there. You don't have there's a fire. It's like there's no fire, right? And you know what? You when we do these shows, you do not have to sit there and blow smoke up everyone's butt all the time. You have to do these shows honestly, right? You have to do them honestly. You have to do what we have to say what we see. We have to say what we think. And if you don't like the fact that we're bagging on them, well, you know what? They need to play better. What do you want me to say? You want me to sit here and go, oh, they played so good, they got a point. No, it's just the bad luck. No, you make your own damn puck luck, and that's exactly what Chicago did. They made their own puck luck. They were deep in the puck. They were on that pass, and when that pass happened, they moved the puck into the zone. They passed the puck. They had Bennington confused. They had Crew confused. Goal.
Yeah.
Oh man! I'm watching.
And another thing that I saw in this game, and I know that maybe some Blues players and former Blues players would probably disagree with me. When Berube sees stuff going downhill, I don't understand why he doesn't do this. Other coaches will do this. It's not common, but when a coach sees a team, all of a sudden you're 2-0, and then it's 2-1, and you see some bad things happening. I don't care if it costs you in the third period when you need a timeout. Call a timeout. Settle things down. Reemphasize what you guys are good at. Get the team's heads back in the game and get them moving in the right direction. I mean, what is it going to hurt? That timeout, if you don't use it, it doesn't do you any good. I've always been the type of person that if a coach calls a timeout in the second period, first period, third period, I don't care if his team's not playing well and they see something trending in the way they're defending or the way they're just allowing guys to come in over the blue line or they're just not playing well. Call a timeout and regroup. The worst it does for you, if it gives you a little bit of rest and it takes the other team out of their momentum. That's what it does. And Berube, for some reason, just like some other coaches, they won't do that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That timeout. Well, first of all, I hate the fact that it's one timeout for a game. Right? I really do. I think it should be 2 timeouts or a timeout per period.
Yeah,
To
I
be
think they
honest
ought to
with
do.
you.
I think they ought to do something like the NFL does: 1 2-minute timeout and 1 30-second timeout, and you can use those through. You can use one a period and make it
Yeah.
that way because these guys are so afraid of losing that timeout, and because they're afraid they're going to get down 3-2, and they want to put an extra man on the ice, and they want to be able to stop play to go over how they're going to attack that. Well,
Mhm.
a lot of times you can handle that in practice, how you're going to attack a 6-on-5 or, whatever you have trying to come back into the game. But use that timeout. It takes away momentum. If you're up 2-0 and all of a sudden you're tied 2-2 and you stop that and you take a timeout, the worst it's going to do is take them off of it's not going to give them the edge that they're on at that time. And I don't know why more NHL coaches won't do that.
They also have. I mean, this is a good point. They have the two TV
Yep.
timeouts each period.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. Again, and then there was another point up here by Trexon. Says, what are your thoughts of Ryan Rowley has not a lead by example guy? Well, I mean, he's a lead by example. Deeply talented, but not an alpha type personality. And that's possible. I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going on. I wish I did. I wish I could pinpoint on one thing and say this is where our problem is. But it's not just one thing. It permeates each game. You see something different. You see something that just makes you go, question what's happening each game.
Yeah, and the thing about Ryan O'Reilly, he is a lead by example guy. And in today's game, just like the NFL, just like MLB, you have leaders in the clubhouse, you have leaders on the sidelines with the NFL. These guys a lot of them are making so much money that it takes that special type of person that can really get somebody motivated to do things different. Because a lot of these guys now, and I hate to say it, but some guys are like, great, rah rah. I'm glad you're getting the locker room, warmed up. I'm being paid $7 million a year. I'm still going to make that 7. And if you're feeling that way, you shouldn't be playing the game. But there are some guys like that, and no matter what you do to motivate them, lead by example, get in their face a little bit after you leave, and after you've said something to them, or try to motivate them, be positive. Once you've left them, they've forgotten it or they don't care.
I don't know. I think that today's game is a little different because of the approach of playing 7 defensemen. Obviously, when we get a forward hurt, that's going to, make us tire out a lot quicker. And it's kind of brings me back to what we were talking about the other night, Guy, when Marianne was mentioning, well, why don't we play with the extra defensemen? This is why, because if you get a forward down, then you're really hurting.
Well, yeah, I mean, they use Bortuzzo as a forward, but he's not a forward.
He's not a forward.
He didn't do bad, but it wasn't that. You shortened your line. You're down to 3. You're a 4-line team, right? Shorten your line. You're down to 3 lines. You could see in the last 5 we were gassed. They were just trying not give up the goal. Oh, I just seen the Panarin throw the glove at Marchand. Oh man, that was funny. The other thing, by the way, Ovechkin, they need to break his nose more often because he's already scored 2 goals and they're up 3-2. Right? Yeah. So that guy's. So Tanner says, I honestly never paid attention to the timeouts in the NHL, but you guys are on point. It's kind of ridiculous. And we're talking about hockey, and these athletes, in my opinion, are above and beyond any other sport. Oh, they are. Right? To think what they do, I mean, these guys go full out for 45 seconds to a minute and a half, and they get a 3-minute rest, and they're right back out doing it again. They're on there. Their endurance and their
Stamina
just has to be.
And sometimes, Guy, according to the lineups, and if you're playing at home or playing on the road, you get the last change, and you might put somebody out there after it stopped. And, like a guy like Ryan O'Reilly may have already played 50 seconds. And because of the lineup that they've put out there, and you've got the last change, and you've got a face-off in the offensive zone, you're going to put Ryan O'Reilly back out there sometimes. And I've heard people say, the hockey players aren't in the greatest shape soccer players are, football players are. Well, I'm going to tell you, 45 seconds to a minute straight on, playing 18 to 28 minutes a game, it's very physical. You play that, you're in very good shape. Hockey players are some of the guys that are in some of the best shape today out of athletes. And you understand why they're gassed in the third period when they're down, forwards or defensemen. It takes a lot out of you.
Mm-hmm.
No, I do see it. And then Tanner goes on ice. Yeah, that's right. What I've noticed and heard about O'Reilly in the past, that he's an extremely talented player, but he's also nice and at times takes too much of a passive role. Things go south. And, that's possible. I'm not going to say it's not true because I don't know. Hey, I honestly don't know. I would like to see him in press conferences not say I so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him say a lot more we or they or something like that. I'd like to see him. I really would like to see him be fired up one time, come back to the bench and just start yelling at the guys.
Yeah,
I know Pietrangelo didn't do it a lot, but he did it every now and then.
Yeah, and one thing that a lot of NHL cities do, some of them don't. If a guy plays bad, who's going to get interviewed after that game? That guy that played bad. I've seen it happen in New York and LA and Chicago, and they'll ask him, "Hey, it looked like you were struggling out there. What was going on tonight?" And I like that honesty, and I like them talking to the guy that had a bad game. The Blues media won't do that. It's always to Ryan O'Reilly or David Perron, somebody like that. It's never to a guy that's had a bad game or a guy that's had a questionable game. And in my mind, I want to know what that player's thinking. I really do.
So Bortuzzo was the seventh defenseman, so Wallman sat tonight, right?
Yeah.
Right? Now it's time to send Bortuzzo and put Wallman back out there, right? I don't know.
I still think it should be Scandella that sits.
Well, yeah, I do too, but he's not going to, and that's the problem, right? You're not going to sit a $3.5 million player for more than a game or two if he sits at all.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be playing down on the lines. He definitely, they played him on that top line with Parayko, I believe it was, and both of them playing bad at the same time. That's not a good line to have as your top line.
Yeah.
He definitely doesn't need to be on the top line. In my mind, definitely doesn't need to be on the second line. He's not a top four defenseman. He's a 5 or 6 guy that if you play him the right amount of minutes, it's cutting down on mistakes he's going to make. When you put Scandella out there for premium minutes, you're going to see bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. And
100%.
That's what we're seeing, and it's unfortunate. Because I thought Scandella was getting the system. I was okay with him playing the middle two.
Yeah.
But now he's to the point where it's like he's not getting the system.
His weaknesses show up. It's like with any player. If you play a player too much, and they're actually a third or fourth line player, and you try to constantly put them in the top 2 lines, the more minutes you add to a weak player, the more those weaknesses are going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other thing, I think he's trying too hard, right? He's had some good shots, but think where he's been at with them shots. He hasn't taken them the blue line. He pinched in, and if that shot, doesn't A, go in, or B, comes off to a spot where he should have been, now the puck's going the other way on a breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think Scandella most of the time tries really hard. He does. He works really hard out there. It's just like I said, you give him too many minutes, and when you start working too hard and you start overthinking things, you just make mistakes. And I don't hate the guy. I just think they need to make an adjustment on who he plays with, who they pair him with, and how many minutes they give him.
Well, the other thing that I noticed this game, they tried to play a track meet, and they try instead of trying to look, there's very few teams out there that I think if they can cycle the puck better than the Blues, and they don't play a cycle game. They are so good at it. I think the only team that I could say right off the two teams that I think cycle the puck better than the Blues are the Edmonton Oilers and the Washington Capitals. I don't think any other team in the league can cycle the puck as good as the Blues do.
As much as I hate to say it, Colorado cycles the puck better.
Okay, so, but still, it's in the top four, right, Lance? I mean, you played the game as a goalie. You've seen that stuff. That's what scores goals, the cycle, because it gets the defense. Here's the thing. Chicago was double teaming guys all night long. That means two guys were open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're right. The best way to get a team off of its defensive scheme is to cycle the puck to make crisp passes, because then they start getting confused at where they're supposed to be, what player they're supposed to take. And that's when you start getting guys open and you start getting opportunities. And when the Blues are successful, they do that very well. When they don't do it, they're not as successful. And the thing about playing a heavy game, and like Berube wants to play most games, they don't have the players right now to play that heavy game. You don't have to be the quickest team, but you have to have some speed to get to a guy that's got a puck to hit him. Because if you don't have enough speed, by the time that puck's gone and you hit him, you're going to get a penalty because you hit him and he didn't have the puck. So you're going to get an interference call or something. But yeah, you're right, and Ashley's right. Along with Colorado, the Blues, when they can do it and they have that cycle game going, they're very good at it. It's just they don't do it enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's how they beat Chicago in the opening game of the season. They were cycling the puck.
Yep. And
then when Chicago tried to play speed, right, they couldn't. Mm-hmm. Right? They would try and speed. Tanner says it's a balance between speed and forecheck. Well, I think she means forecheck there. And I agree with you, Tanner. I absolutely agree with you. You need that balance, and you don't see it.
Well, I think even though she made a mistake there, it is a balance of forethought, because you got to think about what you're doing before the game starts.
Yeah. So even her typo is good.
Yeah, even her typo is good.
I don't know. I feel like Berube is trying to make us go back to the heavy game. And like we did well with speed, so now we're going to go back to his game, which it's just falling back into his old habits. And like, why would he want Shen to go out there and fight McCabe when we're already down, forwards? Why would we make that decision? It was stupid.
And I don't mind when Shen fights, but damn, Craig Berube, he just came off of an injury.
You got 7 defensemen. No, you have 7 defensemen.
Exactly.
And he just came off of an injury. Why do you want your guy that just came off of a pretty serious injury out there fighting somebody? And I love his fire. I love Braden Shen's fire, because when he doesn't score, he's still doing that kind of stuff. But I don't want him out there fighting. I really don't. And a lot of this has to do with the players you have. And Guy, I've pounded this in the ground, and people watching your vlog are going to get sick of it. And people that listen to our podcast are going to get sick of it. You got to put players in positions to succeed. And if you watch the game the Blues lose, Craig Berube's not putting players in positions to succeed. When you watch the games they win, he's using their strengths and trying to mitigate their weaknesses so they don't show up within the game.
Mm-hmm.
Tanner wanted to put foresight, and it's right, actually foresight, forecheck. They all work, Tanner. Good job there. And I know she got her COVID booster, so she's got a little bit of a fever. Get better, Tanner. We hope you get a lot better. Please get better for us. For when the Blues lose. I may have to come up with something like that. Yeah, that might be another one. You get to hear me sing. See, that's a joke I should have told. You think my comedy is bad? Wait until you hear me sing.
I'm so
Well-
glad that whenever the show comes on and you got that Huso song,
Yeah.
who's going to start in goal playing, I don't hear it for whatever reason. It doesn't play. So I'm just like, oh, good. It's muted.
You don't hear it because it's playing over the
Yeah.
computer.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for that.
But you know what? There's always the age of Bennington.
Yeah, well, she wouldn't hear that either, but I need to bring that one back. No, the other one I need to bring back is the Mighty Shin.
Yeah, there you go.
Um,
No, it's basically what it comes down in the NHL is consistency. And if you're not consistent and you don't make and you're not good at making in-game adjustments and you just continue to play a system that's losing you games, you're not going to be successful. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to disagree with me, but that's just my opinion. You can feel differently, and that's great, but that's the way I will always feel.
so who
I
do they
agree with
start
you.
tomorrow?
Huso?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it too.
Yeah.
And now the problem is, do we start here in you start Huso because of the 4 games coming up, right? That's why you start Huso. It has nothing to do with the back-to-back or any of that. It's all about the 4 games coming up. But you're going to start hearing some of the and I don't know what the right word is, some of the not diehard fans start thinking about how Huso should be better.
Guy, you can say it. Just say idiots.
Yeah, I'm not.
And I don't
there.
like to say that, but this city, whether we had, Jake Allen and whoever, Brian Elliott, when one of them would play well, the other one sucks. And with Jake Allen and Bennington, and I like Jake Allen, but when he was bad, he was bad. But it wasn't always his fault. Just like when Bennington loses, it's not always his fault. Ville Husso right now is not a number 1 goaltender, and he's just not that. Could he be someday? Maybe.
He won't even be on the team next year.
No, he won't. And Bennington is the goaltender. Bennington is a better goaltender. You just watch him. You watch the way the confidence in the crease. You watch how Bennington's angles are a little bit better, the way they approach the puck in the game. And it's just because Bennington's got more experience. And I can't stand this city that every time a backup goalie comes in and wins a game, which I want them to win a game, we have a goalie controversy. Who do you think? There's a guy on Facebook that trolls people, and every time Bennington loses, he gets on there. Well, how many goals do you think Huso would have given up? I think Huso would have got a shutout, and people just go nuts over it. And he just sits there and eats it up.
Anthony?
It might be.
Right. Well, he's the same guy that got all over. He's the same. Well, no, actually, he might not be. It might not be Anthony, but Anthony got all over Allen. Oh, he's the dynasty's choice, or the whatever. He's the pick of the few, whatever, pick of the litter, whatever. He used to say something like that. And then now with Bennington, he backs up, or he says, "Oh no, with Bennington, it's the team around him. It's not Bennington at all." Oh, wait a minute. Which one is it? It can't be both ways.
You can't have it both ways. And in one game, your goalie could cost you a game. And another game, your defense or turnovers could cost you a game. It's a balance. Sometimes your goalie is not good. He's not having his best night, and he's not seeing the puck. But man, when your goalie's on, everything's in slow motion. And I know people don't understand that, but if you ever play the game in goal, you would understand. It's like that 98-mile-an-hour shot coming at you feels like it's coming at you at 35 miles an hour, and you can see it great. But, every night you win for certain reasons and you lose for certain reasons.
Thank you, Brad Pond, for showing us a little love, even though it's a sad face. I know why it's sad, because you want the Blues to win 82 and go 82-0, and then, that's okay. There's guys out. But see, what I think fans need to realize is there are good wins, there are bad wins. Good losses, there are bad losses. And you have to have a balance of all of them. And right now, we're seeing too many bad losses. Right? And that's my concern. Because now if we get those good losses, a good loss against Tampa or a good loss against Florida, it adds into the other losses and it takes away from it. You need tomorrow against Columbus. Columbus is riding the ship, so you really need to go out tomorrow against Columbus and play one of your best games. And this is a back-to-back. You're traveling. You played an early game. You play a later game. Still traveling. You're still, what is it? Probably takes some. This game ended at 5 o'clock. They're not going to get home till 10, 11 o'clock tonight, right? They're not going to get back into St. Louis 10, 11 o'clock, and then they're going, and then they're going to probably a light skate tomorrow, right? All right. I don't even know if they'll do a skate tomorrow. So, it really shakes everything up.
Yep.
Tanner says if you win every single game, it becomes very boring. That's why they always say it's a man's game because you never know. The Blues proved that in 2019. Good point. Very good point.
Yeah, and
There we go. Finally got it right.
I know that I can probably speak for you two guys too. We don't want to come on a vlog and talk about the bad things and the team's on a losing streak. I've been accused of loving it when the Blues lose. Come on, guys. That doesn't make any sense. We're just here to let you know why they're losing. And when they win, we let you know why they're winning. We don't expect them to win every game. But, when they lose, you can't just be all, cherries and sunshine about it. You've got to say, hey, this is why we're losing.
Yeah.
No, and I'll tell you the one of the best ones at doing this is Bernie Federko. Bernie is so good at when they lose, just not. He doesn't get too far down,
no,
but he doesn't get too far up either. I mean, I want to be more like him, but he does a really good job. But I will say this, and before we go, ESPN has really got to get their crap together, right? Starting the game a minute and a half into the game, not showing pre-games, not having any type of pre-game, not having any type of post-game or anything that's legitimate.
It's like I told you, Guy, once you get to see their product and what they do, they wouldn't give it the attention that they need to give it. If they gave the NHL the attention they give the NBA, the NHL could grow with a partner like ESPN showing them games. But they're just not doing it.
Nope, and I agree. And they're not putting enough games on TV.
Nope.
They're and then they took this game. Well, I know why. I'm pretty sure I know why they took this game off of ABC. But at the same time, they did glance over it very, very
quickly.
Easy,
yeah, very quickly.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask you something, Guy. You're a longtime hockey fan, and Ashley, you've been watching games for a while. My whole thing about the games that they show on regular TV, they always push this big game coming up Friday. The Rangers and Bruins. Come see the original six. The original six play here. The original six have a show. Do you know what? 99% of the hockey fans could give a crap that they're the original six.
Yeah.
I love hockey, and I'm a huge hockey fan, and I played the game. I could care less that it's the original six because it happened it's been since the 60s since it was the original six. Stop playing that card and saying, come see the original six. With baseball, do they come and say, come see the two original teams from the 1898? They don't do that.
No.
Well, the other thing is, while they'll play up the original six, they don't play up the second six.
That's right.
Right? They don't play up St. Louis, L.A., Pittsburgh, Dallas, and Philly, right? Who are the original part of the original, or the second six, right? That you want to talk about the growth of hockey? It's right there. It's those 5 teams, right? And the thing that hockey needs to grow is a better understanding of what the game is, and we don't seem to have that. We seem to get relegated to lower. And I'll tell you what, come the finals. The finals need to be on ABC, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put them on. It's during the summer. You're not ABC. You're not showing anything during the summer that is so important that you need to take. That you can't. I'll tell you what. You put guys' eyes on it, and just remember, a few years back in 2016, right during the 16 run, the guy, and I can't think of his name now, Tony, I think it was, right, from Twitter. The Blues were on, at that time it was Fox Sports, and he's trying to find the Cardinals game, and he starts watching the Blues game, and he's tweeting out about it. Now he's a huge huge Blues fan, right? You need that. You need that to start. You really, really need to start playing into what the game is.
Yeah, and
right?
they have to market it differently because you've got to market. You can't just market Sidney Crosby to Pittsburgh. You can't just market McDavid and Crosby and two other guys, McKinnon, and because they only market 3 or 4 guys. That's all they market. They don't market up and coming players a lot. Some players they do, but their marketing department, and a couple of years ago they got the same marketing firm that does the NFL. Well, I don't know what happened with that because they're definitely not marketing this sport right. If they marketed this sport right, it's like I brought up an idea one time. Have 2 good players like Tarasenko and O'Reilly sitting in the front row with fans behind them, and it looks like they're watching a game, and they're eating popcorn. And O'Reilly, Tarasenko says something to O'Reilly, and then the camera pans in on him, and O'Reilly says, "You don't think that we just are fans of our team?" He says, "We're fans of the game," or something like that. Market it around different players, different cities, get people interested. The problem is these networks look back on history instead of looking forward. They're afraid if they put games on, the NHL games on in June and July sometimes, that they're going to lose market share to baseball. Well, I've got news for you.
Nope.
There's a lot of people that are fed up with baseball, and they want to look for something new. This game could be so much bigger if they marketed it differently.
Yeah, and it could. And here's the thing that could help the game. It's faster than basketball. And you don't need to watch the last 2 minutes. You got to watch the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch the last minutes of a basketball game, which takes 25 minutes, and figure out the whole game right there. You can't do that with hockey. You need to watch the whole game. You need to be invested. And that's what they need to do. They need to get people invested.
Yeah.
And you get people invested by showing them the little things. Start showing at your post game or your intermissions. Right? I tried to do this. I asked the NHL for permission to show replays so I could break down plays. Right? So I could break down a play and show you and pull out my screen thing. Well, look here. That's what they need to do, and they don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Break down the play. Show more of what's happening out there on the ice during that 17 minutes instead of playing 5 minutes worth of commercials.
Yeah, we used to have a podcast called St. Louis STL Cardinals Radio. Had our website, and we put up all our episodes up. And do you know the first time I asked Major League Baseball if I could be on their media site and show replays? The first time I asked them, I just had the podcast for a year and a half. I got an email saying, "Thank you. We're granted you permission. You may use highlights, so on and so forth. You can use whatever you want to." They sent me all the high quality logos to use. Yeah. I could use anything they put out. And it took one time because baseball knows that even though their game is popular, they need to keep growing it. Hockey hasn't figured that out.
Yep.
It's a good old boys network.
No, I get it. They do. And if they did allow guys like us to have a little bit more leeway, it would definitely help. Absolutely, it would. It would grow. It would grow the game. Absolutely, it would grow the game. And it would also show. It would give fans a chance to be. They keep using this term "fan media" as a negative term, and it's not. It's not a negative term, right? You can't use it negatively. It's a positive term. because it's what the media system is turning into.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
More and more people have podcasts. More and more people have blogs.
Yeah, and it's like you and I have talked about, and Ashley's heard us talk about it. If vlogs and podcasts weren't popular, then why do ex-players like Jamie Rivers have a podcast? Why do ex-players in New York have podcasts? If it wasn't popular and nobody wanted to hear it, they wouldn't have them.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, one of the most popular podcasts out there right now is the Cam and Strick podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's
Cam Jansen was not a great player.
Yeah, I'm going to give you an example of something that happened in Canada that would never happen here. You know who Steve Dangle is, right?
Steve Dangle, yep.
He started on his own, shooting his own videos and did his own thing, was not on Sportsnet, and Sportsnet recognized him. And they're like, hey, you want to do a segment for us? And now he's big and he's being paid by Sportsnet and he still does his thing. That will never happen in this country unless things majorly change.
No, absolutely. It's going to take a huge paradigm shift, and unfortunately, right now, it's just not there. It took me 9 attempts to get the NHL to look at me as a broadcaster, and it actually took a NHL writer to vouch for me before they did. All right, that's what it came down to. Until I used his name, I got nothing. I had to use his name, and it shouldn't be like that. And even then, all I have is just a teeny bit more access than the common fan. Well, it doesn't. You're still hamstringing us, right? First of all, I got to tell you something. I think that they're missing a huge opportunity with Zoom, right? When they did all these Zoom stuff, right? It is so expensive for newspapers and sites like that to have their team travel. Yet with Zoom, they give us a chance to question and ask questions and open it up. They could open those Zooms up to, you hear the same, I love when they say we don't have time. You hear the same 3 guys asking the questions, 4 guys, all the time. Let somebody else ask questions. Let the media, let all of the media have the opportunity. Open up your Zooms and start letting them ask questions. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at how good of a questions you're going to get, and you'll also grow your fan base because you're showing what can happen.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Guy, but here's the reason. It's going to take a major shift change in things. The people now, for the most part, there are some guys that ask some tough questions, but it's pretty rarely. A lot of them are softball questions and buddy laughing questions, and they're the same questions you hear after every game. Hey, coach, chief, what does this team need to do to improve? And then the next game, chief, what does this team need? You hear the same. They don't want the hard questions because the coaches and the GMs don't want to answer those hard questions.
Oh no, I agree, and that's something that really needs to be addressed through the league.
Yeah,
right. That it's got to change. But you know what? The league did the same thing, though.
Yeah.
Right. When the Chicago thing came out, the guy that broke it, they wouldn't let him ask a question until somebody else said, "Hey, let him talk." Mm-hmm. Right. My biggest thing right now, if the NHL media wants to be bigger, the pro hockey writers need to open up who can join them. They absolutely need to relook at they talk about the Old Boy Network, but they're part of the Old Boy Network, right? If you want to get rid of the Old Boy Network, that's where you start, right there. You start right there, because what happens is, first of all, think of the strength. The Major League Baseball, right? The Baseball Writers of America Association. I think it's a Baseball Writers BWAA, right? Or something like that. BBWAA has almost 500 to 1,000 members, right? Think how strong they are because of that. Now, not every member gets to vote for the awards or the Hall of Fame. You have to have a standing for a certain amount of time. Well, do the same thing. If you want someone to be able to vote for because they vote for this for the Conn Smythe, right? If you got to be a member for 3 years, or you can vote for the Conn Smythe. But open it up. Make your association so strong that you're never going to have that issue that you had with the NHL not calling on a guy that broke a story.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's strength in numbers, and professional means getting paid. Guys that are owning websites that are making money are professional journalists. Period. End of story. That's simply it. Right? That's what you need. You need to be getting paid. If you own a website and you're making money on that website, you're getting paid. Agreed?
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, I think I've been on that. Beat that horse enough. What we got tomorrow to look forward to? We take on Columbus. Columbus should be playing here in a little while if they're not playing right now. What do you think's going to happen tomorrow? Where does this team go tomorrow?
Ashley, I'll let you go first.
I mean, they're going to have to, obviously, if Neil or Costin can't come in and Perron's not ready, they're going to have to send Perunovic down and bring up another forward at minimum. They're going to have to go back to basics. I mean, make passes, make, it an easy sport, because it's common sense, some of their mistakes. They're not looking where they're passing. They're not, showing the effort that they need. They just got to bring it back to basics.
I'm absolutely on board that one.
Yeah, I think the keys to this Blues team, and like any other hockey team, cut down on mistakes and play a full 60 minutes, and you're going to come out ahead more games than you're not. And lately, this team has not done that. I know that sounds simple, but in my mind, that's what they need to do. Cut down on the mistakes, cut down on allowing teams just to come in over the blue line unscathed, and play a full 60 minutes. Hey, if you play a full 60 minutes and you lose 3-2, you played a full 60 minutes and you left it all on there on the ice. When you play 38 minutes and you lose 3-2, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But this team can turn it around and very quickly, and let's start on a positive note. But if they don't, then they really need to look at themselves in the mirror, because like I said, any team can beat you, especially if you're not prepared, and they've not looked prepared recently. But let's look at that in the opposite. The Blues can beat any team too when they play well. So I'm just going to do a wait and see how they play tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a good comment from the biggest struggle the NHL has is Mr. Bettman wants to control the narrative. And he's right,
He is right.
And that's really is really important, and it's got to stop, it really does. And here's something that every time I bring this up, a lot of people shoot me. This is a First Amendment issue, right? It absolutely is. There's supposed to be a freedom of the press, but when you limit what press is, you take that freedom away, right? You take that freedom away, and it shouldn't be taken away. It should not. If you want to cover the Blues for your little website, you should be allowed to cover the Blues for your little website, and you should have the same access that everybody else has. You should be able to go to practices. You should be able to, you know what? And if your press box isn't big enough, well, that's on you. Find another area.
Yeah, and
right?
And you know what, Guy? The thing I love about MLB, like I said, I asked them one time and gave them my website, and they allowed me access. And then on my website, I would show clips of the Cardinals games. Not once did they ever contact me and tell me not to show them. They were happy that I was showing, the Cardinals games and other highlights from around the league. They get it. Major League Baseball gets it.
I know they get it. And I asked the NHL for permission to show it, and I was told no. I asked for permission. In fact, they made it seem like I was going to get it.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. My son and I originally had that vlog. The Drop Podcast was originally a YouTube vlog. We figured out algorithms to where they couldn't tell that we were showing stuff. Well, they started tagging it, and the way they were tagging it, we figured out that they actually have somebody in their front office. They pay people to go through YouTube and search keywords to find vlogs like yours and like I used to have on YouTube to mark them for copyright. So what does that tell you about a sport? They are out there looking for people that are promoting their game to try to shut them down.
Well, it's not shut them down. It's take money from them.
It's ridiculous.
Right. And that's what it is, because they let you show the highlight, yet they monetize your work, and they take money off of your work.
Well,
right?
I didn't really care.
That's supposed to be
I didn't
free
really
use.
care about that. I was just wanting to show the highlights because I had other ways to make money off of that, and they would just always, and I would try to fight it, and every time it just got to where I just like, we're just going to put it out, and if they copyright it, they copyright it. I don't care.
Yeah, I know, man. Okay, guys, we're at the hour mark. Tomorrow night, you'll see us. That will be, I think it's a 7:00 game, so 6:30 Central Standard Time. We'll be on. Hopefully, Lance can join us. Have Ashley here, and we'll be playing Columbus. I might ask Hacky Hound if he's not going to the game. I'll send him something, see if he wants to join us. We'll fire something to him. I haven't had him on for a while. Well, guys, this is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, for Lance, the Drop Hockey to Scott, and for Ashley Slapshot Jones, saying aloha, mahalo. Thank you for joining us on the BlueNote Fan Report, and we'll see you tomorrow. If I can find the right button again.